Welcome to Context 101. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. Tonight, we confront a story at the heart of America: freedom, fear, and the right to bear arms. The gun, for many, is more than a tool. It's a symbol woven into the fabric of the nation's identity, representing both the promise of liberty and the shadow of violence. Across kitchen tables and in the halls of power, the debate rages on, echoing through generations. 7 states are poised to eliminate the need for a permit to carry a concealed handgun in public, a move set for January 2026. This sweeping change will allow millions more Americans to carry firearms without prior approval or training, igniting passionate responses from both supporters and critics. For some, it's a restoration of liberty. For others, a dangerous step backward. The streets become a stage for protest, as voices clash over what it means to be safe and who gets to decide. As other nations tighten gun laws after tragedy, the US is moving in the opposite direction. In places like Australia and the UK, mass shootings led to sweeping reforms. Here, the conversation is different, rooted in a unique history and a fierce belief in individual rights. The debate is about more than policy. It's about two visions of safety and freedom. One side sees armed citizens as a safeguard against tyranny and crime. The other sees more guns as a recipe for tragedy and loss. While some states loosen restrictions, others like New York are fighting to keep theirs, with federal courts as the battleground. Legal challenges mount, and the Supreme Court's decisions ripple across the country, shaping the future of gun rights and regulations. The stakes are high, and the nation is pulling itself in opposite directions. The divide is not just political, but cultural and deeply personal, touching every community in different ways. Tonight, we'll explore the history, the arguments, and the legal battles shaping this moment. From the Second Amendment's origins to the modern courtroom, the story is as complex as the country itself. We'll hear from both sides and compare America's path to that of other nations. What can we learn from the world, and what makes the American experience so unique? This is more than a story about guns. It's about the identity of a nation. It's about the values we hold, the fears we face, and the future we choose together. The story is still being written, often in blood. Each headline, each tragedy, each act of heroism or heartbreak adds a new chapter to the ongoing debate. We examine the great shift in American gun laws. The landscape is changing rapidly, and the consequences will echo for generations. The world is watching as America redefines its relationship with firearms. The choices made now will shape not only the nation's laws, but its very soul. To truly understand today's heated debate over gun rights and regulations, we must look back through the lens of American legal history. The story of the Second Amendment is not just about words on parchment, but about how those words have been interpreted, challenged, and redefined over generations. The Second Amendment's meaning has been debated for over 2 centuries, with its language sparking passionate arguments about the balance between individual liberty and public safety. From the very beginning, Americans have disagreed about what the founders intended. For much of U.S. history, gun rights were closely tied to service in local militias, and communities often enacted their own restrictions. Laws varied widely, from state to state and even city to city, reflecting local concerns and customs. The idea of a universal right to carry firearms was far from settled. The modern era began in 2008 with the landmark Supreme Court case District of Columbia versus Heller. For the first time, the court explicitly affirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to possess firearms for self-defense within the home, fundamentally shifting the legal landscape. But the court also made it clear that this right is not unlimited. Restrictions on carrying guns in sensitive places, like schools and government buildings, and regulations on the sale and ownership of certain firearms, were still considered constitutional. In 2010, McDonald versus Chicago extended these protections to every state, ensuring that the Second Amendment applied nationwide. This decision unleashed a wave of new legal challenges, as cities and states scrambled to adjust their laws. Permit systems, known as may issue and shall issue, became the next battleground. Gun rights advocates argued that requiring permits to carry firearms infringed on constitutional freedoms, while others insisted that some regulation was necessary for public safety. As lawsuits piled up and courts across the country weighed in, the stage was set for a new era of litigation that would test the boundaries of the Second Amendment like never before. Once again, all eyes turned to the Supreme Court, as the nation waited to see how the highest court would interpret the right to bear arms in the 21st century. Everything changed on June 23, 2022. The Supreme Court's Bruen decision struck down New York's strict permit law, upending May-issue systems. The court introduced a new test gun laws must align with the nation's historical tradition. Modern effectiveness no longer mattered, only historical precedent. This cast doubt on hundreds of gun laws and energized gun rights advocates. States scrambled to rewrite laws while legal challenges multiplied. The Bruen decision didn't end the debate. It opened a new, chaotic chapter. America's gun law landscape was forever altered. Now, 7 states are eliminating concealed carry permits, embracing constitutional carry. Supporters say the Second Amendment is the only permit needed, removing bureaucratic hurdles for law-abiding citizens. They argue criminals ignore permit laws anyway, so only the responsible are burdened. Opponents warn this removes vital safety checks, backgrounds, training, and vetting. They fear more untrained, dangerous individuals will carry guns, leading to more violence. The number of permitless carry states now exceeds half the country, deepening the legal divide. Gun owners can cross state lines with vastly different rules, creating confusion and challenges for law enforcement. The map of American gun rights is being redrawn. The consequences are just beginning to unfold. The debate over permitless carry is deeply personal and fiercely divided, touching on core beliefs about freedom, safety, and the role of government in American life. Across the country, emotions run high as communities grapple with what it means to be both secure and free. Supporters call permitless carry a restoration of rights. The Constitution is my permit, they declare at rallies and online. For many, it's not just a slogan, but a deeply held conviction that the right to bear arms is fundamental and should not be restricted by paperwork or bureaucracy. They argue that permit requirements only create obstacles for law-abiding citizens, while criminals ignore the rules anyway. To them, permits are a barrier that unfairly penalizes responsible people and does little to stop those with bad intentions. Responsible gun owners say they shouldn't need government approval to defend themselves or their families. They believe that self-defense is a basic human right, and that training and safety are personal responsibilities, not something the state should mandate. For them, it's about liberty, self-reliance, and the ability to protect loved ones in uncertain times. They see firearms as tools for empowerment and peace of mind. But opponents, including many in law enforcement, see permitless carry as a public safety nightmare. Police chiefs and sheriffs warn that removing permit requirements makes their jobs harder and communities less safe. Police say permits helped verify who could legally carry. Now, every encounter is riskier and more unpredictable. Officers worry about facing more armed individuals without any vetting or training. Public health experts warn that weaker gun laws mean more violence, pointing to studies linking permitless carry to higher rates of shootings and accidental injuries. When you remove safety standards, you increase risk, says a gun violence prevention leader. Advocates for stricter laws argue that permits are a common-sense safeguard, ensuring that only responsible, trained individuals carry firearms in public. They fear more hidden, loaded weapons in public spaces, at parks, shopping centers, and schools, could lead to more tragedies and make daily life feel less secure for everyone. The issue isn't just about freedom. It's about dismantling systems meant to keep people safe. Lawmakers on both sides argue passionately, weighing individual rights against collective security. Both sides are driven by a desire for security, but their visions couldn't be more different. One side sees more guns as the answer. The other sees more regulation as the solution. As the debate rages on, the divide is only growing, with no easy answers in sight. Permitless carry is reshaping politics and society. For Republicans, it's a badge of Second Amendment loyalty. For Democrats, a rallying cry for gun safety. The partisan divide deepens, making compromise elusive. Supporters claim economic benefits, no permit fees, more gun sales. Opponents warn of higher healthcare costs and damage to communities from increased violence. Public safety is the most contentious issue, with both sides citing conflicting data. Studies link permitless carry to higher violent crime, but gun rights groups dispute causation. For citizens, the facts are murky, and the stakes are real. America's gun deregulation stands in stark contrast to other nations, especially Australia. After a mass shooting in Sydney, Australia responded with swift, unified action, a new gun buyback, and tighter laws. Australia's reforms after the 1996 Port Arthur massacre banned many firearms and removed self-defense as a reason for ownership. The focus is collective safety, not individual rights. New reforms include gun caps, citizenship requirements, and a national firearms register. Public support is strong. 70% want stricter access. Australia debates how to strengthen controls. America debates how much to dismantle them. The philosophical divide is clear. Individual rights versus public health. As America removes permit requirements, much of the world looks on in disbelief. Two nations, two paths, each shaped by tragedy, but moving in opposite directions. Legal experts say the Bruin decision has created profound uncertainty. Courts now hunt for 18th or 19th century analogs to modern gun laws, a nearly impossible task. The weapons and problems of today are nothing like those of the founding era. States like New York try to defend modern laws as consistent with tradition. Others abandon permits entirely. The struggle between federal and state power intensifies, with rights changing at every border. The history and tradition test is subjective, open to judicial interpretation. Legal battles over permitless carry and new restrictions are far from over. The Supreme Court will likely have the final say, again. America stands at a crossroads, two versions of gun policy, side by side. Some states double down on restrictions, others embrace permitless carry. The consequences will echo for generations. This is not just legal theory, it's life and death. Both sides seek safety, but their solutions are worlds apart. The divide grows with every new law and court ruling. As other nations tighten controls, America moves further out of step. The Bruin decision accelerates this divergence. The only certainty: more legal battles, more political strife, and communities living with the results. The question remains: how does America balance the right to bear arms with the right to live in peace?